As Pixie pointed out, Hanamura was played in both of the semi-finals and was chosen in both of the semi-finals. And I think for Horizon Lunar Colony, it's possibly a way for Masterminds to just try and say, okay, maybe Sydney Drop Bears don't play this map. Even if we don't play this map, it might give us an opportunity and a chance to get back into the series.
Well, we're going to get back into the series right now. A big shout out to McDonald's here in Australia. Maccas, as we like to call them. We love the nugs, we love the burgers, we love everything about it. The only bad thing I think about the moon is that there is no Maccas.
Yeah, they should really put one up there.
That's when
you know it's really habitable. When you see McDonald's.
That is when, like, if you want to move the people to the moon or you want to move them to Mars, I feel like you need to go put a McCafe up there, and that'll draw them across.
See, like, my thing is I'm not traveling to a city that doesn't have one, because that's when I know it's really happening.
Lol. All right. Let's get into the action. The Masterminds GC. I hope they've got something planned for this one, AVRL, because so far it has not been so good.
And they need to plan well, because Drop Bears are going to be running Billa on the Junkrat again. Now, they could have also chosen to put Jordation on the Widow. They don't even need to do that. A Kraken picking up Yuki already.
Well, that's a good start coming out here from the Drop Bears on defense. I'm not sure whether that now means that the Masterminds are going to drop back. What Billa can do here, look at this perfect timing to get some damage down as well. But only 24% right now is where that ulti's setting out. Look, the thing about Billa here on these maps is that he loves to get that ult charge. He loves to get that Riptide so early.
So a little bit more difficult for Billa to do that on Horizon Lunar Colony. When you look at the Masterminds lineup themselves, they're not running big tanks, yeah, but Billa still looking to get the damage done, at least onto Joy Boy.
Well, they're trying to fight on the point. That's certainly a start here for Masterminds, but Billa, see you later. Color Hex is going to go down there with the right click. That's exactly what the Drop Bears want to see. Jordation will go down. Cantor's actually going to find that kill. Nice work coming out from the support, but it doesn't matter. The Masterminds getting forced back. 2:55 on the clock. Still no ticks on the point.
And the area control is what I got to highlight here, because note that Masterminds have not really touched the point yet. Yuki now dashing onto it doesn't really count. You have to take a fight, force Drop Bears to meet you there, and finally Masterminds feed on that cap.
The Valkyrie going to come out here from Bertlog even. Quad's going down in the back line. A Kraken you can see has a trance ready to go. That would be a counter to the one coming out from Masterminds. Bertlog going to bring back Quats, and Billa looking for kills. He fights two! Oh my goodness, once again, Bertlog too strong here. This is so good.
When I first met Billa online a year ago, he was called Billa 2K, and 2K is exactly what he's getting on those tires right now. Quats himself getting 2K. Shoyo's been getting 2Ks on his own self-destructs here. Right now, Sydney Drop Bears, they're picking up so much, and they're not giving away anything except for that 1/3 that is. The silver lining for Masterminds, and they got to work with what they got.
Billa working hard to try and get another Riptide ready to go. We've seen how powerful it has been so far here on defense, particularly when you're trying to get that first control point, whether it be in Escort or Payload or whatever we might see. But oh my goodness, Billa going to go down, and that's it. Color Hex gets the kills. That's what we wanted to see.
Finally, Masterminds penetrating the back line. Off the back of that, they should be able to finally cap this point A out. First point hold on A. Not this time for Sydney Drop Bears. We're going all the way to at least a B point here. Masterminds, they're going to get it across the line. And Drop Bears now look at their composition. Bertlog, Billa, both now changing. B defenses in action.
Well, that's what we want to see here from Masterminds. They need to get that momentum going. They need to find their mojo, because it seems to me like they lost it somewhere in the player lounge an hour or so ago. They have not been the same team we expected to see. Maybe this is their opportunity. Maybe they just needed to go to the moon. 5 minutes on the clock now to find this second point. They're going to try and push on through, try and roll on through the defense here. But Joy Boy going to go down early. Well, Yuki finds one back. That's not so bad here at all. Maybe this is going to be enough. The Trans going to come out as well from Cantors. They're going to start getting ticks on this point. One by one, they're finding picks. Quats will use the Primal Rage, but he is not fighting on the point. He's trying to push them back. Maybe that's enough here for the Drop Bears.
And Quats looking for that win condition. Double support kills after the Transcendence came out as well. Mastermind certainly felt like that was a winnable fight. Cantors certainly felt like they could have won that fight. Maybe got themselves that one tick, but as soon as you lose both your supports, you no longer have the sustain on that B point. Sustain for an attacking team is the way to win that B point.
Certainly is. Masterminds now, 4:20 on the clock. How are you feeling here for the guys from Masterminds? Has this been a good map pick for them so far, AVRL?
Well, that first point they did manage to get. They bought themselves 1 extra minute. That 1 extra minute's about to dissipate, and so is Color Hex's life. That's not a good start, unfortunately, for Masterminds GC. I will also point out twice now, I'll even include 3 in that, the opening fight of A. A Kraken picking up the early pick. It's always been a 6v5 every time a Kraken gets that kill.
That's incredible considering it's coming from a support play. It's so important. That's one of, I guess, the key features here. One of the great aspects of Zenyatta is you can get the damage down, but it's how often do you actually see it?
And you can see the damage output coming up from a Kraken right now, building up towards that Transcendence. He was just about 60% before, now heading up to 80%. Every time he lands a volley, he's nearly there. That's so big for Drop Bears.
Well, you can see Shoyo and Jordation both with ultimates, and he finds Cantor straight away. Big now. Coming out from the Drop Bears here on defense. They're going to push through a Kraken. As you said, that Transcendence ready to go, but he will not. Neither. It does not even matter. Jordation finds 2. The rest of the team cleans up Masterminds. Masterminds now, who at least have a few ultimates to work with, but they're starting to run out of time.
Massive kills coming up from Jordation there. If it's not Billa or if it's not a Kraken, it's going to be somebody else. And now we are back in that same place on Hollywood A. Attack for Masterminds. Running out of ideas here. They need some big guns. They need to land them onto Drop Bears, but it's going to be hard. There's so many counter trade tools here. Billa with the EMP, that's the guy you got to look out for.
Yeah, the EMP has been so vital across the season. Let's see if it can be crucial here right now in this grand final. What is the play going to be? The Transcendence going to come out now. Taki has got that sound barrier, but it's so easily countered by an EMP coming in from the other side. Look at that, 2 picks coming out from the Drop Bears. A Kraken finds 2 frags. He's a support player.
Release the Kraken right now. This man is collecting Mastermind's heads, and they didn't even have to use other ultimates there. Quats saving his life with the Primal Rage, baiting out Mastermind's GC to contest him. Guess what? You're not going to kill him. He's got a Primal, even if that's not enough. Bertlog's got the Nano. Quats ain't going down. And Drop Bears, they're not dropping any other ults in that fight either. Now they're the EMP. Massive.
Great EMP over the top. That's Taki going down. That's the sound barrier going down as well. And one by one, these kills coming out for the Drop Bears. 158 on the clock right now. The Masterminds need to reset. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4 ultimates ready to go. But is that going to be enough?
They did lose Cantor slightly late, so there is some seconds off the board. Every second is crucial right now for Masterminds, but you pointed this out for ultimates for the Masterminds team. This is now their timing window. Billa does not have an EMP. Quats doesn't quite have a Primal Rage yet, although looking at the dark side of the match, he might get that in this fight. That could be a changing factor for Drop Bears. Masterminds, though, the timing's good. They can get there early. They will have advantage.
They just need to use their ultimates correctly. They just need to make those picks that we saw them do up in their previous game up against Blank Blue. Billa going to go down very, very early. So finally, Mastermind's going to find that pick. Self-destruct. That's the one that will force them off and maybe give these guys from Sydney Drop Bears a little bit more time to get back onto the point. Shoyo, as you said, looking low. Going to get picked up there. The D-Mech coming through. Yuki, the one's doing that trans. And, of course, the Primal Rage. But when you've got the Discord orb on you, there's only so much you can do. How long can you stay alive?
One tech did manage to go through as well. Jordation with that pulse bomb onto Joy Boy. But what is going to the trade going to be? Quats finally goes down. But right now, Masterminds need a lot more kills. They've lost Taki already. If Cantus goes down, there's no more healing. Yuki going down might just be the end of that push. And again, Masterminds, despite the ultimate advantage, they couldn't get across the line. Going into the final fight now. Look at that. 35 seconds. Drop Bears, they got advantage.
They do indeed. 1 tick, 30 seconds on the clock. 1 ultimate is all the Masterminds have right now to try and push this through. I don't know if it wasn't enough when they had 4. Surely it's not enough when it's just
That's a big one.
Billa over the top with the EMP. Cantus is down. Taki is down. Quats right in the middle there as well with the Nano Boost finding damage across the board. Dragon Bait from Color Hex, but it will not matter. He goes down. They get about halfway through, 47%. But that is all the Masterminds are going to get right now. The Sydney Drop Bears going to hold out here on the second point of Horizon Lunar Colony.
And again, a commanding half for the map on map number 3 here, Horizon Lunar Colony. When we were here on Hollywood, it already looked like a winning scenario. They didn't quite hold A, but most teams do not quite hold A. Most teams have to get to B. Masterminds getting A, that should be expected. They met expectation there, had 1 extra minute, 5 minutes to take B. That first minute didn't quite work out well for them. They battled it out until the end. In the last minute, again, have to really accentuate here that one fight where they had the 4 ultimates. Drop Bears had only about 2, maybe 1. That was the window. If they're not going to get it in that fight, they're not getting it at all, because again, look at that final fight. No advantage, no way.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as they did have the advantage, you thought, surely this is the time at least you find a full second tick. But as you can see there, 47% on point 2. I don't know if that's going to be enough. Masterminds here really, they want to find a full hold on point A, to be honest.
That being said, though, we've been here on Hanamura. Look at the Blank Blue game. Blank Blue look nearly as dominant as Sydney Drop Bears do against Masterminds right now. But Masterminds able to maintain that B hold. They are again going to need some of that magic. We saw Kiki show up there. We saw Color Hex, Cantus, all of these big names, these World Cup caliber players show up in that match. Now they need to do it again, or they will be facing match point on the Drop Bear side.
Well, that's it. They talked about how when they're on the big stage, when they're playing in the Overwatch World Cup, playing in front of that huge audience, that there was a massive amount of pressure. And here, look at this, there's like 30 people here. It's not the same thing, it's family and friends. But the reality is it doesn't matter if you can't get the win. That pressure comes from yourself then.
Masterminds are an experienced team. Don't forget, this is the roster and a team that has been around for a very long time. Different members, but the team itself as Masterminds Blue back in the day, they've been here. Cantus has been here. You got to go back to the experience, and that has to be where Masterminds find their feet, because if it's not now, it might not be ever.
You can see we have 2 tanks ready for a dive here from the Drop Bears. We'll see whether they can push into the point, whether they can do a better job than Masterminds did on attack. To be fair, Masterminds was okay, but still a little bit slow. Drop Bears, on the other hand, have been playing so well so far. Jordation pushing through, trying to find a pick. Everyone's still alive for now, but I'm very interested to see whether the attacking team can get the first pick here heading on to the second side.
The good news is Masterminds have so far done more damage, right? Because they have more ult charge, a good Bionator Taki as well. Got to slow things down. Gob, though, he's not going to get slowed down.
Well, it's Candace that goes down. Taki as well. That's 2 supports now down for Masterminds. Joyboy found out as well. The Drop Bears half the way there. That's 2/3 right now. And it should be a full capture here on point A. That is going to leave them so much time, like 7 minutes or something ridiculous, to try and capture point B if they can pick this up right here. Color Hex about to go down. That will be that. Let's push on through. 6 minutes, 55 seconds. They need 47 and anything %.
And you can see there the confidence coming out of Quads. #1 Winston Australia. I think you can be quite confident in saying that now after the series as well. Going in, despite being bionated, he still opens up for the Drop Bears, still allows the Drop Bears to get their picks. Billa now freshly changing onto the Sombra. They're not interested in the snowball victory here. They're playing for the long game. They're playing for when they get the EMP. That's when they will win.
Well, the EMPs have been good so far. Let's see whether it'll be good this time around. Jordation getting forced back. You can see the pulse bomb ready to go. Tran's going to be forced out here though right now. What can the Drop Bears do on attack? A Kraken has been so good so far. Let's see if the timing is good for him this time around. Jordation throws out the pulse bomb, doesn't find anything but Kiki, D-Mech, and Destroy. Joyboy goes down. Candace tries his best to bring one back. Color Hex in the middle with the Dragon Blade. Looking for picks, doesn't find anyone. Starting to push through. I don't know, maybe this is enough for the Drop Bears, but Masterminds looking okay. They've got players alive. They've got the respawns. They should have enough. The self-destruct comes in. Is it going to find anyone? EMP! Is this it? Billa pushes through. Quad's a Kraken. Billa all finding frags right now. They only need 47%. They're going to get it, surely. Here we go. The Drop Bears find map number 3. 3-0, 1 away from our inaugural champions.
Ben, this is getting absolutely ridiculous. I thought this was the grand finals. What is going on here? Is this the quarterfinals? Sydney Drop Bears have now at least got a 3-0 against Masterminds. If this was a best of 5, if this was a semis, we'd already be out of here. Drop Bears would already lift that cup, but right now, still on match point. Masterminds couldn't find their feet on Horizon. Can they do it on map number 4? They are running out of maps to do this on.
Let's be real here, Pixie. Talking about predictions, I know you said that Drop Bears were going to win. You didn't say they were going to win like this.
Do Drop Bears have somewhere to be? Like, it's like...
They got places to
yeah,
drop.
Yeah,
Oh,
like,
actually,
hello,
they booked their flights a little bit early in the day. They've got to be out of here by 6
Yeah,
boys.
is this like, hey, welcome to Australian games done quick. My name is Sydney Drop Bears. This is my speedrun of Masterminds GC. That's kind of what this feels like so far, right? Like, it's full holds, it's single third caps, like... This is something else. Like, for how close we had pinned everything to be, like, the most surprising result is a one-sided match, right?
Look, Xenox, this is what we saw in the regular season, except flipped on its head. Right now, the potential for Drop Bears to 4-0 Masterminds. I know we talked about the break. I know we talked about what can you say to the team, what can you say to Masterminds, what can they do to bring this back. The reality of the situation is whatever they've said, the moment it doesn't seem to be working.
No, it definitely hasn't. And one thing we haven't talking about is the fact that Darksided are probably sitting there watching this and thinking, oh, geez, if we had have actually been able to beat Sydney Drop Bears, we might have been able to win the grand final. I know they're two different teams, obviously, with two different compositions, and possibly Masterminds might have done, obviously, better against Darksided, but it is an absolute stomp right now. And then I'm really surprised, obviously, since I did predict Masterminds to win, and it's now sitting 3-0, I got a lot of egg on my face.
Look, the thing for me that's a little bit peculiar here is maybe we could have seen this if we thought that this was going to be the semi, right? And these two teams prepared for each other. And the Drop Bears had come in with some sick strat ready to take them down and had surprised anyone. But AVRL, this is the grand final. They didn't even necessarily expect to see Masterminds going up against them, even if they thought maybe they would make the grand final. So for me, that's a real big takeaway here, that these teams potentially didn't even do that much preparation for each other.
Well, I think Drop Bears expected Blank Blue, right? Masterminds, they were just wanting to, first of all, get past Blank Blue, get into that grand final. They wouldn't have, I mean, going up against either Darksided or Drop Bears, I think would have been tough. Look at the result from that first semis. That went up to the final map, map 5, onto the final stage as well. 99, I think it was to 99. So either of those teams could have been sitting here in that 3-0 hotspot, but it is Drop Bears instead.
Well, we're getting very, very close to the end here, potentially, or very, very close to kicking this off all the way through to the best of 7. So let's go and take a look at what our next map will be. Junkertown, my personal favorite map in the whole wide world. Xenox, what do you think about this map for Masterminds? Surely they can win this one.
Oh, definitely they can.
Surely they're going to win this one. Is that absurd to say?
I mean, I will say that obviously for Darksided, they did win Junkertown against the Sydney Drop Bears, but that was their sort of map. And I think for Masterminds, that's not as much of the case. And it must be a horrible feeling sitting at 3-0. You know, you got to win 4 in a row now to contest and win the grand final. It almost feels like a marathon, and they're going to have to get their shoes on here, and it's got to start with Junkertown. Otherwise, obviously, that's it.
You actually mentioned something really interesting there. I mean, we talked about, like, how do these teams handle it mentally when you're at the bottom of Game 7 in your grand final. What we didn't talk about is, like, what do you do when you're about to get 4-0'd? How does your mentality hold up there? That's a real test.
Look, for me, the only thing theoretically, potentially for Masterminds to take from this, to go into this, is they say, look, we have 4-0'd this team. We did it 5 weeks ago. Sure, things have changed, but there is no reason we can't do it now. Honestly, AVRL, do you think that Masterminds can bring this back all the way through and win it in the end?
All the way through, I would say it's unlikely, but I would love to see that. Any team that can reverse sweep from this kind of position absolutely deserves to do so, but it starts with this map, and I could not think of a better map for Masterminds to start that journey, right, that return into this matchup. They need to start getting into it. Junkertown, what it does offer Masterminds is exactly what it offered Darksided in that first semi-final, which is, first of all, on that A cap, because Winston is not favored, that's how you shut down Quats. He shuts himself down because he's not playing Winston.
What do you think going into this one, Xenox? Is this about to be a 4-0, or are Masterminds about to bring it back?
You know, I ended up tipping Masterminds to win this series based off their performance against Blank Blue. That was obviously a clear indicator as to where they're at. But now, the clear indicator here is that the Sydney Drop Bears are not messing around. 3-0, I think they're just going to complete it, make it 4-0.
Pixie?
I'm kind of inclined to say the same. I may add a caveat to that, which is it's the Drop Bears 4-1 because Masterminds do win this, but don't recover from that point.
That's cheating.
That's a little bit cheating. Are Masterminds going to win this map, AVRL?
It's starting to look unlikely. If I was a betting man, it has to be a 4-0 here, but I would like to see Masterminds start to turn around.
Look, I want to stick by what I've said. I want to stick on the fact that I said that Masterminds will win this weekend, but right now, it's very, very difficult to stick by that. For whatever reason, come what may, the Sydney Drop Bears, they have turned up today. When you talk about how important this is for these teams, this is the playoffs. This is the grand final of the inaugural season of Overwatch Contenders Australia. Domestically, it does not get any bigger than this. For all of these players, this is absolutely massive. It's one to put in the record books. It's going to be up there forever. You want to be the team that says, look, we came through, we had a stellar regular season, we smashed it through playoffs, and in the grand final, we went 4-0 up against a team who 4-0'd us during the regular season play. So, Masterminds on attack, the Drop Bears on defense. Sydney Drop Bears, 1 win away.
One thing Masterminds also mentioned is that they're quite confident in the Widowmaker head-to-head. We haven't quite seen Color Hex against Jordation just yet, but if their word is true here, Color Hex should be outplaying Jordation. Look out for that. However, though, Billa is still the biggest target.
So often we see this Widow play being a huge aspect of the game. We'll see whether it's the same this time around.
That
It
was
certainly
a bit of
helps
a
if you
blunder.
can find your hooks, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's probably wishes we didn't catch that one on stream, but Sydney drop bears
Mac could
regardless
play the
of
game
that.
right there,
Yeah,
boys.
I reckon.
Maybe not, but Masterminds now on attack. They're pushing through this time around. You can see they got Joy Boy there as well on the Orisa, trying to get those shields up, trying to
There
give
it
them
is, that's the
something
start.
to work with. And finally, Kalex's going to find a pick. That maybe will be enough to give Galahex a little bit more room to work with to find a couple of picks to get them around the corner.
Now look at this sideline pressure. Masterminds know they have drop bears onto the back foot. This is where they're expected to be better than drop bears. This opening part of the map on point A, when you look at the Orisas, when you look at the Hogs, Quats ain't on Winston this time. He can't carry your team. It's gonna be Colorhex out-sniping Jordation, as Masterminds said that they would do. As soon as that happens, look at him. He swings around the left side. Masterminds know it's go time. Colorhex has all the pressure on drop bears right now.
Look, this has been a pretty good first phase coming out from Masterminds right now, but Billa going to try and do some work with this Rip Tire driving through. Where, hello?
He needs some GPS.
No, never mind. Got lost there. It's only Junkertown. It's not that big, boys and girls. You should be able to find your targets. Kraken going to go down there to Joy Boy as well. You don't often see that. Jordation in the back line pushing through. The Impresight comes out right now, trying to do the damage, trying to do something here on defense. But the whole hog coming out from Taki and Yuki cleans them up as well. This should be Masterminds finding phase 1.
And Taki as well might even pick up a 4th kill. In fact, did he already get 4? I don't even know at this point. So many red players killing the blue players. That's Masterminds players killing the drop bears players. Yuki finishing off a Kraken as well. That A point was a breeze. I want to say this is the first time in this entire grand final Masterminds have been ahead, drop bears on the back foot.
Look, that's all it takes sometimes really, is to start getting that advantage. Now as we come around into phase 2 here, look, maybe Masterminds can make the most of it. Maybe if they can get this momentum, this is how they start.
They're looking to take early positioning as well. Note that the drop bears are trying to get the flanks open. That is part of their win condition as well. Note that Billa is also now onto the Genji. So the dive is what has to happen. Masterminds don't quite have all the tank ultimates. They do have a supercharger, but that's not going to stop a dive.
I love the supercharger as much as the next person, but as you said, it can only do so much right now. It's going to be planted right here for Joy Boy.
He's already lost it.
Oh man, I don't even know how that went down. There wasn't even anybody there, but whatever it was, it didn't work. And that's precisely how useful that is at some time. But Masterminds pushing through, doing the damage. Quad's going to go down in the backline. Colorhex, as you can see here, doing a bit of work. That Infrasight ready to go. Not even needed right now. Masterminds, they just want to stay on the payload. They just want to keep it moving forward. And every time they find these picks, every time someone goes down to the drop bears, they get that little bit closer. And that's certainly going to help Billa. Though in the backline, finds Joy Boy. One goes back. Shoyo, see you later. And well, this should be phase 2 going across now to Masterminds in the near future.
Colorhex is not going down without a fight, ladies and gentlemen. Shoyo doesn't even get to remake. Billa does not get to do anything. And Colorhex now suppressing even. Quads, what is going on?
Wow. Wow, that's all I'm going to say. But what I also want to say is this has been an exceptional Junkertown on attack coming out from Masterminds. If there's any way to get over the disappointment of the last 3 maps, it's by destroying drop bears here on Junkertown.
And they're not done just yet. You saw just at the bottom there, Taki managed to get a hook onto one of the tanks. I believe it was actually Quads. Wasn't going to die though, does have the primal. When does he not have the primal, Ben? Sydney drop bears though, getting onto the C point. They have to stabilize. If they stabilize, Masterminds may have to change compositions. Yuki can't play the Junkrat anymore. That'll make the difference. But so far, Colorhex, he's got something to say.
Certainly does. Billa does some work there on Decanters. There's the Q going to come out from Jordation. Joy Boy goes down. At least this time we're finding some pulse bumps, but it's starting to get pushed back here. This is going to get a little bit more difficult, of course, now for Masterminds pushing through. Drop bears finally finding themselves a foundation to work from. It felt like really they weren't able to get a foothold at all in phase number 2, and it's taken all the way through to phase number 3 for the drop bears to really start putting their foot down.
This is where it gets difficult for Masterminds. They've been riding off a lot of cart momentum. One stabilization from drop bears means the cart is no longer in Masterminds' control. One early pick onto Yuki means Masterminds have to reset yet again. Look at the drop bears ultimates. Just about to be 5 there. Billa coming up on the Dragon Blade. Now drop bears are playing their penultimate composition. This is one of the best that Sydney drop bears will have. And Masterminds GC, we've already seen what it looks like when they go up against that.
Well, Drop Bear's trying to fight it here on the payload. Not a bad idea. Right now, they'll drop back. They're not using too many ultimates. As I say that, Billa comes out with the Dragon Blade, just wants to stay alive for the moment. We'll find Candace, pushes through, looks for another, gets forced back. Not able to find a second frag, but it does not matter. Jordation finds two. A Kraken goes down. Jordation finds a third. Color Hex goes down. And Mastermind's going to have to reset here and attack. The payload will start slowly pushing all the way back to the start of phase 3 once again.
Jordation, our salvation, here to save our nation. 3 kills for him, stopping Masterminds yet again. We talked about the ultimates on the side of Sydney Drop Bears. They had 5, they still got 4. That is 4 too many for Masterminds to handle.
Well, we're going to try and push back once again. 2 minutes on the clock. Lots of time still to work with, but it's slowly slipping away right now for Masterminds. Joy Boy, as you can see, going to get picked up. But I don't know if it's going to be enough. No, well, it doesn't even matter because Sydney Drop Bears are fighting a number of picks. Only Quat's going to go down at the end of that Primal Rage to Color Hex. But no one's on the payload, no one's pushing through. Mastermind's dropping back, just trying to regroup. They haven't really had an opportunity at all here in phase 3.
We've spent a long time here at the openings of Point C, right? Look at where the kite is. That's where the kite's been for a couple of minutes now. Masterminds, they got to get the push on. They got to get the kills in there. They got to get the Drop Bears off that cart.
Look, this kart's been here so long that if it was in the Sydney CBD, it would have picked up a ticket or two because it is a no standing zone. You need to keep it moving forward. And Masterminds are really struggling at this point in time. The Drop Bears doing a great job here on defense. There's the sound barrier coming out from Masterminds, but Joy Boy's gone down. Billa going to get picked up there as well. Just as the Dragon Blade comes up for him, Color Hex trying to do some work. We'll follow him through. He's chasing down the support. Bertlog's the one he finds, and that heal's going to be very, very useful. Finally, the payload gets some momentum. Finally, Masterminds get on top of this, push it through, but now only a minute left on the clock.
And this is going to be the do or die minute, right? If Masterminds do not complete this map, suddenly it gets so much more difficult for the team. Color Hex starting to find some kills now. Teammate Yuki supporting him in that endeavor. Drop Bears now have to fall backwards just a little bit, and the cart is getting into the danger zone.
Look, the Drop Bears probably want to push this into overtime. They probably want to try and hold it out. If they can hold the Masterminds to only 2 and a bit, that might be enough to see them secure a victory here on Junktown. Masterminds, on the other hand, they cannot afford that to happen. They need to push through. They need to make the most of this. They need to do something in the next 20 seconds. And Taki's the first one to go down to Billa. That is huge. No support. Nothing coming out right now from that Lucio. Billa staying alive. Finally, he goes down to Joy Boy and the Primal Rage are cracking over the top. You can see the Transcendence keeping everyone alive. But now they found 2. Bertlog's got picked up. Maybe Masterminds can do something here. Candace will get picked up through. But I don't know. The Drop Bears, as they slowly but surely push onto the payload, this might be enough. Maybe Masterminds won't find the point.
Right now, though, Quats is raging, and you know what happens when he's angry. Masterminds GC copping the hate right now. Yuki, Color Hex, Kiki, all down. Where are their members? They're not going to be present, and that means it is a full hold on C for the Sydney Drop Bears.
I do not know if that is going to be enough for Masterminds. If you needed to win 4 straight, for me, that's a real tough way to start it off.
And it means if you're going to win 4 straight, but you do win anyway, it's going to be a hard-fought 4-map series for the Masterminds. It'll be as difficult as the Drop Bears' victories against all the maps they won against Darksided, because those were all nail-biters as well. Never are we going to see again another easy map for Masterminds, like some of the ones that maybe we did see against Blank Blue. Everything will be tooth and nail.
Mate, things are heating up in here. I know they've got the hand warmers, but right now I think the heat is going from the players into the hand warmers, because these guys have been insane so far today. Honestly, I don't think anyone could have predicted a Sydney Drop Bears 4-0 today. I know they would have loved to say that they were going to win, and of course, you do come into the tournament saying, hey, we're going to be the champions, but 4-0 in a best-of-7 grand final, that is a big deal. Now, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but it doesn't get much closer to a 4-0 than where we are right now.
And if you're motivated, I'm sure both teams are, but specifically for Masterminds, you're going down, you are not going down 4-0. You are not going to give Sydney Drop Bears the satisfaction of saying they did that to you, especially not after you did that to them in the regular season. But for Drop Bears, revenge is not enough. They also want to rub salt into the wounds right here. They're going to do, or at least try to do to Masterminds, what happened to them. That is the only way to play them back.
It's actually incredible that we've got to this point. A team that was 4-0'd by Masterminds, potentially doing the same in the grand final. And to think of everything that's been put into this, These players have been waiting for Contenders in Australia for so long. They played open, they played trials, they made their way through. One of 12 teams put into one of 2 groups, 6 teams in their group, working hard. We want to be number 1. We at least need to be number 2. They achieve that. They push through to playoffs. They go through. They win their quarter. They win their semi, even potentially when they're not expected to. And now it comes down to this insane best-of-7 grand final. And you can close it all out with a 4-0 right up here on the Australian map of Junkertown. This is incredible. What can the Drop Bears do? More so, what are Masterminds going to do?
Mastermind's got a lot of work ahead of them if they want to start this journey right now, but Sydney Drop Bears, their destination is soon to arrive. That is how close they are to winning the series.
Well, they're going to try and push through. They got a very good push to start things off here. The Drop Bears, Masterminds trying to stabilize right now. Kiki going to get DMAC, that's less than ideal. And now Jordation winning that battle as well of the Widows. So, one by one, Mastermind starting to fall. 3 minutes on the clock, and the Drop Bears are getting a roll on. Potentially a very, very quick phase 1 here. Potentially a ton of time on the clock heading into phase 2.
And this is the point where Masterminds are supposed to be winning. This is where Drop Bears don't get that big advantage they normally do on other maps. This is where Darksided got their huge advantage in their Junkertown victory. And right now, Yuki doesn't even have that tire anymore.
Oh man, that is not how you want things to play out if you are Masterminds. Things are not going their way. Irrespective of how good these 2 teams are, for whatever reason, the Drop Bears, everything's going in their favor, whether that's individual play, whether Masterminds are on tilt, I don't know. But you'll see, phase 1 capped over right now, 5 minutes on the clock for phase 2. Let's see how far the City Drop Bears can push this forward.
Oh, this is now really, really getting out of hand. I feel like that's an understatement because it's been out of hand for some time now. Drop Bears, double tank ultimates going on through. Jordation also used the infra site. Look how far behind Masterminds are. They got Taki still running up from C. They're not even in position to defend this B point yet. The cart moves on.
Look, to be fair, Masterminds had a pretty good phase B on attack. It really was the 3rd phase that they struggled on. We'll have to see whether the Drop Bears can get the better of them now, pushing through on their own attack, or whether Masterminds can find a foothold a little bit earlier on. They're going to throw it out. What can Billa do here on attack? Oh my goodness, Shoyo finds 2 time and time and time again. That self-destruct is incredible. I do not know how he managed to find so many frags so consistently.
And this is what Kiki was doing in the Blank Blue matchup, but it's not that matchup anymore. Drop Bears are not Blank Blue. Drop Bears are so much better right now than any other team we have seen so far today. And certainly Masterminds are feeling that pressure. They're feeling the reality of that now more than anyone.
Well, phase 2 done and dusted, 5:20 on the clock. We talked about 30 centimeters earlier on in the day. Now it's 16.5 meters that they only have at the end. That's not that much for the Masterminds to work with, to be perfectly honest. Right now, this is the game for the Sydney Drop Bears to lose. They are so close to picking this up.
Certainly the res coming in for Jordation as well means they don't even lose that. Oh, that is a very clutch kill from Tark in the tire though. That is much needed on this Masterminds defense.
We talked about a little bit of luck, and that is certainly what they need to see here. They need to get this foothold. They need to secure the first point of the 3rd phase. They need to do what the Drop Bears did. They need to stall them out because there is so much time on the clock right now for the Drop Bears to work with. We really want to see Masterminds push this through. We want them to pick up Junkertown. We want them to see this stretch out this final.
We're also seeing now the compositional change from Sydney Drop Bears being forced upon them after that reset. They do not have cart control, which means they cannot play Orissa's.
Wow. Close but no cigar. Jordation, however, has found Yuki, so that's going to make life a little bit more difficult. Also going to take out that supercharger as well. They're pushing on through. They're on the cart, but it's contested. It's not going anywhere right now. Quads goes down. That's very, very useful here for Mastermind. Joyboy taken out. Kiki finally finds a kill. Finds 2, actually. Great work. That's what Masterminds needs to do. They need to secure this. They need to push on forward. Candace doing his best to keep the rest of the team alive. Bertlock going to go down in the back line. Masterminds pushing through, holding on, doing what they need to do. Can they do it for another 3 minutes and 50 seconds?
That is the question right now, right? Because there's not a lot of time remaining in terms of time for Masterminds to actually defend. It's a lot of time for Drop Bears to continue, especially now that Shoyo's got himself 2 kills, even though one of them was a self-destruct kill. The other one cleans up Color Hex anyway. The cart continues moving on. Masterminds, they are running out of space now. Color Hex going to try and change over onto that Genji. Yuki, after using the tire, you should probably expect to go into Tracer as well.
Well, we're looking for 84 meters right now. We're at 62 and counting. The Riptide coming out from Yuki. This time, surely he can find another kill. That would be so useful. Finds Quats. That's incredible. That's precisely what they needed. Is the Resurrection coming out? Yes, you can hear it in the background. Bertlock with the plays. 72 meters, 11 meters left. That's all they need. Joyboy goes down. Quats with the Primal Rage in the background. It progresses for 4 meters. 0.11 to go, 2 meters, 1.45, that's all they need. Color Hex has gone down. Billa finds the kill. Jordation finds the kill. Taki goes down. Is this it? Is this the Drop Bears progressing through? Are they going to be our inaugural champions? Yes, it is. Overwatch Contenders Australia, the Sydney Drop Bears, congratulations. A huge best of 7 grand final, and they pick it up 4-0. Very well deserved. These guys have come so far this year. They should be so very proud, as should everyone else who played. But let's talk about this one, AVRL. That was incredible.
Absolutely well-deserved victory for these guys in the Sydney Drop Bear squad. They worked so hard for this 5th to 6th place in the open division. Masterminds came 4th. Just for a little bit of context, they weren't even in the top 4 back when you had to qualify into Contenders. Now this team is the #1, much like their sister team, the Apex Predators, the Direwolves. They now get to be the kings of the jungle. They get to be the kings of Australia.
Look, if there's anything that group of Direwolves can do as a greater whole, they know how to train teams up. They know how to make the most of them. And you can see how much that boot camp has helped these guys, how much they've grown in the last month. And at the end of the day, to see them come back and 4-0 a team who destroyed them in the regular season, Pixie, that's incredible.
I mean, I think you said it right there, right? Like, between this and Direwolves, like, this is now a dynasty, right? This is the mainstay of Australian esports. It is permeating the fabric of the scene across so many games. That has got to be one of the most incredibly one-sided finals in the best kind of way, right? Because when you talk about teams being nail-bitingly close, to get to a finals in that situation after 2 close semi-finals and have that one team push it to that extra notch, that extra level, that is the best Australian Overwatch we have ever seen.
Look, Xenox, everything else aside, I have to feel for Masterminds here. They came through this. They had such a great semi-final. They came to this competition feeling pretty good. Look, going up against a team they'd already beaten in the regular season and done so convincingly. Whatever the result was going to be today, it's hard to see them go down like this.
Yeah, it is. It's difficult, and it's probably difficult for them to swallow this. Losing 4-0 in a grand final, it's not fun. I mean, I know losing close is also not fun. I'm sure that, you know, the Dark Side boys were obviously quite upset to lose that semi-final, but, you know, it was just so close. But the way that they lost for Masterminds, it was just way too easy. And I was really disappointed because the way that they beat Blank Blue was really good, and that's why I predicted them going into that grand final, because of the momentum that they had going into it, and then they come out and lose in just horrible fashion, 4-0. But at the end of the day, it was just so well played by the Drop Bears. They are at the top for a reason, and it also goes to show for Darksided that they took them to all 5 maps, and it came down to the absolute wire.
It's incredible to think about what that match was like and how maybe at the start of the day, some people thought Darksided were going to win. We just didn't know how strong the Drop Bears were going to be. We didn't know how well they could play here on land. And today, AVRL, they've really shown us.
And I think that very first semi-finals, right, that was a grand finals quality matchup, just because, first of all, it was so close, but obviously now, in hindsight, it's easy to say, I guess, but Drop Bears with that 4-0 victory in the style they did it, and Xenox, you're absolutely correct. Darksided had a great series against Drop Bears, and I said during the cast, but had Darksided won that, this might be the Darkside 4-0 of the Mastermind squad as well, because both those teams are, I believe, the top 2 teams.
Pixie, we've had a whole season of Overwatch Contenders. As I said before, the biggest domestic competition we've ever seen here in Australia. Such an incredible playoff, such an incredible 2 semi-finals, and that insane best of 7 grand final, which, to be fair, only went to 4 maps. The reality is here, there is so much to take away for all of these teams. What do you take away from this competition?
Well, I think we couldn't have had a more fitting finals, right? Because like you said, after the whole season, especially when we were like, oh, it's going to be close, it'd be a 4-0. So what better way to round it out than have 4 Overwatch for our grand finals, right? It's poetry. Couldn't have written it better myself. But I think the real takeaway actually has to be just the sheer caliber of play. I touched on it a moment ago. Drop Bears just hit a new level right there. And this is in a pool of 3 other teams today who had all pushed themselves to a level beyond what they'd done in the regular season. Like, there's like best of the best, and then there's the best of that. That's what Drop Bears are at. That's what everyone else is going to have to measure up to now, not just these top 3 teams, but everyone else. Season 2, if it pushes a level beyond that again, then like Australian Overwatch is going to be a powerhouse just based on Drop Bears' performance today.
Well, today we've talked about a lot of things. Something we've talked about a lot is Quats and just how strong he has been. We've got DK on the stage with Quats right now for an interview. Let's take it away.
Thank you very much, Sandman. I am here with Quats from the Sydney Drop Bears and the newly crowned champions. I got to say, how does it feel to be at the top of the contenders?
It feels pretty good, even because we've had a year, me and Show have been playing for a year, and we've had 2 LANs, second place finals on both. So it feels pretty good to win one for once.
Yeah. And does it add any more emotion that really at the beginning of the contenders season that no one really gave you a chance?
Yeah, pretty much every LAN we've been the underdogs, it feels like. So it feels really good to be top dog at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking about this meteoric rise, and especially you played them just over a month ago before, and you've literally flipped the score. What is the secret? What did you guys do in that time to come here and become champions?
Lots of VOD review, lots and lots of VODs. Yeah.
Very nice. It's good to hear you put the work in. And of course, what's going to happen to you guys now? Moving forward, what are the plans? Or are you just going to kind of enjoy this for now?
Yeah, we're definitely going to enjoy it. I think we want to stay together until Contenders Season 2 and win that as well, and see what happens after that as well.
Absolutely. And you're obviously doing a bit of rehearsal in your head. You got a few people that you'd like to thank. Hopefully you don't forget any of them. Yeah, go for it.
I like to thank Surfs, Commander X, Gusto and 4, and Dave Harris from Direwolf for helping us out during this month or two. Yeah. Absolute
group effort indeed, wasn't it? Yeah, well, I'll let you get back to the team there. Congratulations. And there you have it. Drop Bears champions, I guess. Back to you at the desk.
Yeah, DK, champions indeed, mate. And as you said, putting in the work there, doing the VOD reviews, working hard, I suspect, at that high-performance centre out at the SCG. And at the end of the day, that's all it needs. You just got to do the work. If you're good enough, you put in the preparation, anyone can be a champion. Pixie, there were so many good plays in this entire competition, but what was your Macca's play of the game for the grand final?
Yeah, you did right. There was a lot. It was actually a pretty tough one to pick, to be honest, but I really think it's got to be this one here. Look, Shoyo, there is like nothing that typified this series more, I think, than Shoyo getting 2Ks. And the first one was here on the second point in a poll. We were up to about 90%. It was looking like this was the one where Masterminds could flip it, turn it back around. If they fail to do so, it's going to be a straight win for, yeah, look, there it is right there. Straight win for Drop Bears, gets the 2K, turned the fight right around, and from there on out, I mean, there was some great moments there. There was Billa getting great EMPs, good rip tires, Jordation getting headshots, Colorhex even getting some incredible moments. But Shoyo's sheer consistency with those clutch plays, with the self-destructs, not just to zone, but to get kills as well. I mean, Poco who?
Yeah, well, that's it, right? Those self-destructs are hard, and as a filthy diva main myself, you can put a bit of work in, but it doesn't even matter half the time. For me, I think that's something that we're going to see consistently. You see it in other games. You see smokes practice. You see nades practiced in different maps. I think over time we're going to see these self-destructs practiced in specific positions. I'm sure they do it already, but when you put 40 hours into self-destruct and then you put another 40 hours into self-destruct, they're pretty difficult to dodge.
Yeah, they definitely are, and obviously Diva's one of those heroes that can change a fight with a ultimate like the self-destruct. The placing of it has to be perfect, and obviously for a lot of the teams, they're wary of it as well, and especially when you're playing against a very good Diva. And Shoyo, what a performance today. He was a bit shaky on in the first semi-finals, but he turned it around towards the end of it, was absolutely clutch, pretty much got them past the semi-finals single-handedly into the grand final, kept that good form. Probably a shout-out as well to a Kraken, who I thought absolutely popped off in the grand final, and he clicked heads.
Wow, that's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like having 7 players on your team when you're a support is DPSing as well as a Kraken does. So let's go and recap how we got here today. It was an insane playoff, certainly a grand final we did not expect. We started off with 12 teams, 2 groups of 6. We brought the top 8 teams to quarterfinals. Darksided took down Knock Predators. The Drop Bears took down Lexi. Masterminds took down Kanga, and Blank Blue took down Jam. That was to be expected. We moved into our semi-finals today. We brought all these teams to land. We were ready to go. 2 best-of-5s, leaving into our best-of-7 grand final. First up, the Sydney Drop Bears up against Darksided 3-2. That was incredibly close. So many times Darksided could have won that. So many times the Drop Bears could have closed it out early. It came all the way down to the last phase there of Oasis. And at the end of the day, we saw the Sydney Drop Bears up against Masterminds GC. Masterminds who did such a good job of taking down Blank Blue, such a good job of progressing through this season. They did not drop a map through the regular season. They were so impressive, but unfortunately, AVRL, when push came to shove, the Drop Bears were just too strong.
The Drop Bears now have elevated the scene. They have shown a new level that the other teams have not yet reached, and that is an exciting thing. I'll say that with a caveat because, again, Darksided did take Drop Bears to the distance, so Darksided very close on the heels of the Sydney Drop Bears, and I think that's exciting. When you look into Season 2, you're going to have very high competition as well. I'm also excited to see how the other quarterfinals teams and the new teams come out of the trials will fare in that as well. I believe this is the start of something great. Sydney Drop Bears are the inaugural champion. Can they keep that run running?
And there's so much at stake as well. These guys have put so much effort into it. There's cash on the line. The prize pool, $50,000 US just for Australia in season number 1. And the thing is, if you go out and you match out the amount of money that everyone won based on match fees, that 30K worth of match fees in there as well, even the guys who didn't win as many games as they would like to still came out with a decent sum of money. It's enough to help you maybe with a part-time job and fulfill what you want to do. Play the game that you love. Play Overwatch. Improve. That's why this is the path to pro. This is why Contenders is so important for Australia.
Yeah, it definitely is, but you also want to still have that reward for first place, and you can kind of see the difference between coming first and coming second. It's still that gap, and I think for Sydney Drop Bears, it's a well and truly earned extra amount.
How important do you think this is for Australia? How important do you think Contenders is globally for these regions that aren't playing in Overwatch League?
Well, I think there's actually no better example, right, than the fact that this time last year, the only real international Australian competitor was the original Blank squad, who, you know, played now for a bit over a year, or coming up on a year and a half now in Pacific. This sort of thing didn't exist for them at the time, but now it does. It exists, funnily enough, for Blank Blue and all the rest. And I think that is just created this whole new paradigm for what these players can actually do and what they can expect. And I mean, the prize pool is such a big factor with that as well. Like you said, if you can take that little bit of extra strain off of having the job on the side or something like that, you can spend that extra week boot camping. You end up playing like Sydney Drop Bears just did.
AVRL, how long until we're going to see the likes of the Drop Bears being able to hold a candle to the likes of Blank? Are they going to be able to take them down? Is the #1 team in the region playing in Pacific Contenders? At what time do they come back and, hey, we've caught up?
It's potentially sooner than expected. It might already be happening. Obviously, there's no official gameplay to really say if that's going to be the case. But you have high caliber players. Look at Tung, who's currently playing for Blank Pacific. He's an ex-member of the Sydney Drop Bears. Sydney Drop Bears are producing players of that level.
Well, what an incredible season. What an incredible season of Overwatch Contenders Australia. It has been insane. Thank you very much for everyone joining me on the desk. Xenox, Pixie, and AVRL. A huge shout out, of course, to Blizzard and to Macca's, to Elfishguy. I hope to see you again sometime soon, mate. You'll be back, I'm sure you will. For everyone else, we will see you in Season 2. Congratulations to the Sydney Drop Bears. They are your champions. They take home the victory. We'll see you next season.